Welcome back. Live look at the United States Supreme Court, and there's a security fence up around it for good reason. There may be protests coming soon. The U.S. Supreme Court, as it winds down the current session, we could expect decisions on big cases, including the one expected to overturn the constitutional right to abortion in this country. Good morning to Dallas constitutional law attorney David Coale with the firm Lynn, Pinker, Hurst, and Schwegman. So we know the draft opinion was leaked in that case from Mississippi. How likely do you think it is that any votes would be changed on overturning Roe?
Yeah, my opinion is worth what it costs. Only the justices know their views of this and what cards they're holding. But that opinion was very, very far along. It was very close to being final. And I just don't see someone putting that kind of resources and energy into something unless they feel like it's got a pretty good chance of getting sign-off. So I would be surprised to see that opinion or something similar to it not be the majority opinion. That said, I'm not on the Supreme Court either.
Well, Chief Justice Roberts has been playing kind of a moderating role on the court, especially since it has moved further to the conservative bent, trying to urge less sweeping opinions instead of very broad ones that change the world. Is abortion a subject on which Justice Roberts could reasonably do that, kind of come to a compromise that is short of totally overturning Roe?
I think he personally is a little bit torn there. He's a very conservative thinker. I think personally he doesn't like Roe, but I think he also has great respect for stare decisis, the concept that we follow our older precedents unless there's some really, really compelling reason. This past fall, in the cases about our Texas SB 8 statute, the so-called private enforcer statute, he tried to craft a consensus opinion that would have sort of connected the majority and dissent views, and nobody joined him. He was voiced by himself, and the 5 other justices that are considered conservatives voted their own way. So I don't doubt that behind the scenes he's been trying very hard. I don't think that the majority of the court's really in a very compromising position right now, though. I think they want to proceed with what they think is the correct view of the law, and if people don't like it, that's just the way it's going to be.
Right, and it doesn't, as I understand, it doesn't necessarily have to do with not liking abortion. It has to do with not liking Roe versus Wade and the way it was decided, which was basically a woman's right to privacy, which is a concept. I don't think the word exists in the Constitution, does it?
No, we saw that in the draft opinion, and there's been a lot of scholarship about Roe since the opinion came out. There are a lot of holes you can poke in Justice Blackmun's reasoning in that opinion. It's kind of long on medical history, a little short on precedent. And since then, though, because it is precedent, and we do have stare decisis, other cases have sort of stacked on top of that. And the question that we're going to have when we see this opinion come out is not just what happens to abortion, but what happens to other cases in this general line of privacy-related authority. Are they going to be affected and drawn into question if Roe is overruled?
And some of the justices, and you're using the Latin term stare decisis, basically precedent, some of the justices who are in that conservative majority, when they were in their confirmation hearing, said they would deeply respect, give great deference to precedent, presumably including Roe. This turns that on its head.
That stare decisis it sounds really good to say it. The trick is applying it to any particular situation, any particular case. For example, Justice Kavanaugh, who made a big thing about stare decisis in his hearings and his commitment to it, we heard at the arguments in Dobbs read off a list of cases that the Supreme Court has reversed itself on over the years. So, you know, even the most stalwart defender of stare decisis and precedent is going to believe there are exceptions. And I think a conservative majority of this court thinks that Roe was wrongly decided, and it falls within an exception to the ordinary rules of precedent. You're supposed to fix things where you've made a mistake.
Okay. David Coale, as always, thanks so much for your wisdom and plain talk. The decisions that may or may not include that case come out at 9 o'clock this morning. Thanks for your time.